little more stuff here. A little more stuff here to do. I'm going to start with, actually I'm going to start with something that I don't have on my palette. So let me just squeeze a little bit out. Need a little bit of raw umber because I'd like to take down the strength of yellow ochre that I'm going to be using plenty of in the foreground. Okay. That's in place. All right. Yellow ochre. Yellow ochre and raw umber. I like, when I put a blue sky in, I like using yellow ochre. It's just such a nice complement. Seems to work quite well. Okay, let's do something along the lines of this. I don't want a smooth hilltop. Really don't want that. Gotta have a few bumps in there. Gotta keep it kind of interesting. Okay, we'll just trail it off that end. It's a little bit like that. I don't think I like that. I think we'll just keep bringing this up. And then drop it. Like so. Okay, that helps to push that tree back, bring this tree and adjacent bush forward. We'll use a little more of the same here. Same color. We will. Let's dip into a bit of burnt sienna here with our mixture. Yep, that's okay. A bit of white. Add a little white to that. I do want some sunlight catching a few areas here. Okay. I think we will thin off these couple of, string of rocks that I have going up. Let's do that too. Let's make that less important. I think it's a little much the way it sits right now. Okay, for the moment that's good. But I would like to go back to our yellow ochre. This time straight yellow ochre and a little bit of titanium white. That's okay. I think we can take this up a notch too. Where I added the raw umber. It's a little bit toned down, and I know that I could wait until the end before I raise those values, but I'm confident enough to know that I can do a little bit of it right now too. So let's put these rocks in place to see. That'll help me see if I want to leave these ones in place. I want to avoid getting caught in that trap of putting in unnecessary detail. So we'll give the brush a little rinse here in my paint thinner. We'll give the palette a wipe. You know, often I'll work my way from the distance to the foreground, in which case I would have laid in the trees first before going into the foreground. But often I will do what I'm doing now. Lay in the foreground, leave these shapes until later. Most important area right here. The more information that I have, even down here, the more likely I am not to make decisions I'm unhappy with regarding these trees up here. The brush strokes, where the light's going to touch the foliage, where it's not. Okay, so we're going to go to raw umber, cobalt blue, bit of white, a little more raw umber, a little more raw umber, a bit of white, a bit of white. I'm being cheap with the colors on my brush. Never a good idea. Ask anybody. All right. A little more raw umber. A little more raw umber squeezed onto my palette here. Seeing as that's going to be our go-to color for the rock in the foreground. Okay. Give the knife a wipe, and we're back to, this looks at the moment like it's going to be rock. It's not. I'm going to continue with this golden grass as we move forward. But I'm going to keep more of it in the shadow. So we're back to our raw umber. with a hint of cobalt blue in it and a lot of yellow ochre. That's not quite enough of a difference. We'll go to more raw umber. I think that's going to work. Let's throw a few direct brush strokes in there. Being careful not to be too careful. We can groom them as we go. I'm even going to touch the burnt sienna. I'll add a little bit of ultramarine blue to it because I do want it a little dirtier, a little colder in the foreground. And coming to the bottom of our well, we'll bring the value up a little bit again. Bit of grass that's sitting in front of the base of the rock here. I can hear people yelling at me right now. Use a mole stick. Use a mole stick. And I keep saying to myself, no, no, don't do it. I just love the feeling of paint on my fingers. Bit of grass there too. All right. A quick backup to see what we think. It's all right. It's all right. Oops. Bit of junk. Get rid of the junk. All right. I'm going to lean towards the green here a little bit. Bit of ultramarine blue. Bit of raw umber. Back to the yellow ochre. Not using cobalt blue now because I don't want it to be too green. Bit more junk. Those little bits of stuff that sneak in when you're washing in or staining the painting, they will show up when you're laying the oil on, the final iteration of it. Okay, I'm not, as you can see, being very worried about things. Okay. Now, I'm not really too thrilled about this grouping of things. What I might just do is go back to that raw umber with a hint of cobalt blue. Actually, maybe just straight raw umber for the moment. No, I'll still put a hint of cobalt blue in there. Just a hint of it. There's something I like about having this line up here. I don't know that I want it to be quite as important as it is. And my brush is getting pretty scruffy, considering I like to leave a few dark lines here and there. Which is a little bit frustrating, not too bad. Okay, a little more cobalt blue. A little more raw umber. Back to something that's a little bit darker on the... Let's not let this side of that rock catch quite as much light. Okay, I think that's going to do that job. And giving my brush a wipe again. I'm not cleaning it thoroughly because that's just a little harder on the brush than I want it to be. We're going to go back to our yellow ochre. Add a hint of burnt sienna. I'm going to cut into that a little bit. And let's see here, just do that. Now, yellow ochre. And I'm going to touch a little bit of cad yellow pale right now as well. Cadmium yellow pale, yellow ochre, and white. Hold your breath. Or as they say, if you're going to jump into the water, point your toes. We're giving that a little more zeal. Now I'm going to adding a little bit of burnt sienna. Let's put a little bit there. Okay, that's helping that to pop a little bit. Okay, I think I should probably leave that alone now. I'm going to go back to these greens, these dirty greens. But I'm going to add a little more white. We're going to up the value a hint. It's a little too much. That might be about right. Catching, what would you say, a little bit of indirect light. So tempted to keep going down here, but you know, again, it's a small space. I don't think I will. I don't think I will. But I see something I do want to do. It's in a place that I don't want it to look too much like a mistake. So I'll fix it. And what it is just this silly little line. Right there. See? Simple as that. I'll reinstitute that line a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll do. Okay, back to my raw umber again. I don't think, well, I'll put a hint of cobalt blue in there, not much though. Let's allow this rock to catch a hint of light, a little more than it is. Again, indirect stuff, you know? Okay, I see another spot that I would like to correct. That will do. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that again for the moment. And let me just take the camera and we'll square it off against the panel so that you can see more accurately the thing from my vantage point. Okay. Well, let's do a little zoomy. It's first thing in the morning. Let's do some zoomies. See how that hint of cad yellow pale mixed in with the yellow ochre and white. It doesn't get too brash, doesn't get gaudy, but it gives some zeal to that yellow ochre. And because the area around it is already aiming in the same direction, just a touch of that cad yellow pale mixed with the yellow ochre and white, just, I don't know, it fits in place, it works well. You know, it looks like a streak of sunshine. There's our sky. So, whoops, sorry. So we don't have much more to go. All right, I think I'll pester you with this video. That's 2 in a day. Talk to you soon, guys.